everybody, welcome back to Theme Park. Trying to fit everybody in the screen. Today we are in Denver, Colorado for Elitch Gardens. Okay, just got off the mind eraser. That's a one and done, like forever. The 1 out of 10, I give it a 2.
I give it like a 2.
Yeah, like a
3. All right, just rode Twister 3.
That one is such a classic. It's so janky. It's like a classic coaster.
The ride aside, we witnessed 2 fights happen just in the time that we were in that line. So that's pretty cool tidbit.
You know, some like cute entertainment.
All right, 1 out of 10.
I liked it. That was like an 8.5 for me.
Yeah, 8. I give it a 7.
A 7.
I give it 5.
Opening in 1890, Elitch was more than just an amusement park. It was a giant Victorian-style entertainment garden built during Denver's boom years by John and Mary Elitch. For decades, Elitch Gardens became a Colorado institution. Families grew up going there for generations, and people didn't just love the rides. They loved the atmosphere, trees, gardens, old architecture, and charm. It felt alive. But eventually, the original location started running out of room, and in the 1990s, the park was relocated from its historic location to downtown Denver. Today, Elitch Gardens exist in a weird state of limbo, because technically, the land underneath the park is worth way more than the park itself. For years, developers have planned something called the River Mile, a gigantic redevelopment project that would eventually replace the park with apartments, offices, restaurants, and luxury buildings. And because of that, the park feels less frozen in time and more lost to time. So let's break down Elitch Gardens in 2026 with our channel's rating system. The Pork rating. Presentation. Originality. Rideability. And kudos. The biggest disappointment for me personally was the presentation of the park. When you look into the history of the original Elitch Gardens, you can see pictures of lush gardens, giant overhanging trees and beautiful pathways that gave the park real personality. That atmosphere is all gone. What's left feels more like a concrete Coney Island style parking lot with rides placed on top of it. And honestly, you can truly feel the lack of investment. Either nobody wants to spend the money making this place look nice anymore, or the budget just isn't there. I was genuinely hoping there'd still be some kind of garden aesthetic left, like even a little bit, especially considering how gorgeous Denver's botanical gardens are. But outside of the small entrance display, there really wasn't much of that identity remaining. Now, to be fair, there are moments where you can see effort. The little mini Main Street USA style entrance area was actually pretty charming, and there are a few attempts at themed storytelling throughout the park on different rides. Twister 3 especially tries to have this tornado disaster aesthetic going on, but personally, I've mentioned this before on the channel, I just think this style of regional park theming comes across really tacky and low effort. I understand it's supposed to look chaotic because it's themed to a tornado, but instead of feeling immersive, it mostly just feels cheap. And unfortunately, that feeling kind of spreads across the entire park. A lot of the buildings and shops had this old smell to them, especially the gift shop, and even walking into the entrance, you can immediately notice things like dirt buildup, faded surfaces, and areas that clearly need a deep clean or power wash. It honestly feels strange even giving the park a presentation score, because presentation genuinely doesn't feel like one of Elitch Gardens' priorities anymore. That being said, there were a few visual highlights. The Meow Wolf game areas actually looked really cool and had some genuinely creative visual design. And moments like that reminded me that there is still potential here. You just wish there was more of it. One thing I will give Elitch Gardens credit for, this park does feel unique. Not necessarily good unique, but definitely unique. Most amusement parks are either polished modern theme parks or old nostalgic parks hidden in the woods somewhere. And Elitch feels like neither. You've got roller coasters squeezed into the middle of downtown Denver with skyscrapers literally towering over the rides, and honestly, that creates some really cool visuals. I think that history changes the way you experience this park, because when you walk through some of these empty pathways or ride these aging coasters, it almost feels less like visiting a thriving theme park and more like visiting the last surviving version of something that used to matter a lot more. There's almost a melancholy to this place, like the park is caught between being alive and becoming history. When it comes to overall rideability and value for money, this is where Elitch Gardens really started to fall apart for me. Tickets were somewhere around $60 to $80 per person, depending on the day and how you bought them, which honestly feels incredibly expensive for what you're getting here. Elitch Gardens is already a fairly small regional park, but what really surprised me was how much space inside the park is dedicated to extra upcharge carnival games. I think we counted at least 10 or more separate paid games throughout the park. And normally that wouldn't bother me that much, except this park already feels small to begin with. It starts making the whole experience feel even more nickel and dimed. Overall, Elitch Gardens just struggles to justify its price point. I don't love it as it is now, but I adore it for what it could be or what will happen to it. I look at it like a movie in its final act. It still has time to pull out a surprise. Also, I had a really fun day regardless of its current state or anything else. I had great friends, and it still was a fun day at the park. Overall, Elitch Gardens honestly feels less like a thriving amusement park and more like a memory that's slowly fading in real time. There are moments here that are fun, moments where you can still see why people loved this place for generations, but underneath all of it, there's this strange feeling that the park is stuck between its past and whatever comes next.